My beloved child, there's a reason the air around you feels heavier than usual. A reason their eyes widen the moment your name is whispered. Your last move didn't just surprise them. It rewired the entire way they see you. They thought they had predicted your steps, mapped your patterns, understood your silence. But you delivered something so unexpected, so precise, so absolutely out of their imagination that it shook their confidence to the core. Right now, they're replaying everything you did, trying to trace the exact moment they lost control of the story. Your strength, the kind they quietly underestimated, just flipped the entire board. They never imagined you would walk away from what they thought you'd cling to. They never imagined you would speak when they thought you'd stay quiet. They never imagined you would choose self-respect over validation. But you did. And now they're standing in the ruins of their own assumptions, whispering, "How did they do that?" They can't sleep properly, can't think straight because you didn't give them a reaction. You gave them a revelation. Listen carefully because beneath their shock lies something deeper, something they don't want anyone to see. Your last move exposed every hidden insecurity they had about losing you. You becoming stronger terrified them. You becoming wiser humbled them. You becoming unpredictable made them realize that you were never the weak link. They were. They used to think they could control the timing, the pace, the emotional rhythm between you. They believed they could read you like an open diary. But your silence became strategy. Your patience became pressure. Your distance became power. The moment you chose not to chase, everything inside them collapsed. They never expected you to step into a version of yourself that wasn't shaped by their approval. They never imagined you carrying an energy that says, "If you underestimate me, I evolve." That's why they're shaken. Not because you changed, but because you finally revealed who you were all along. Their ego is trembling. Their pride is cracking. And for the first time, they understand that they're the one who could lose you. And now, something even bigger is unfolding behind the scenes. Their shock is turning into a silent obsession. They're watching you more closely than ever, even if they pretend not to care. They're studying your moves, your energy, your decisions, hoping to decode how you slipped out of their grip so effortlessly. They're asking themselves questions they never thought they'd ask. How are they glowing without me? How did they become this powerful? Were they always this strong? And the harsh truth they're avoiding is this. Yes, you were always capable. They just never paid attention. Your last move didn't just amaze them, it warned them. It warned them that you're entering a phase of your life where no manipulation, no guilt, no emotional trap can hold you. It warned them that you're not returning to the version of yourself that tolerated their inconsistencies. It warned them that you're choosing destiny over distraction. The universe is rewriting your storyline. And they, the ones who thought they had you figured out, are now standing outside the door of your future, watching it close slowly while they scramble for one more chance, one more moment, one more opportunity to get back into your life. But the truth is undeniable. You've outgrown every version of them that tried to dim your light. My radiant one, the moment you made that last move. A shift echoed through every corner of their life. They didn't just feel surprised, they felt exposed. Your silence became louder than any words you could have spoken, and your confidence became a mirror reflecting everything they tried to hide. They thought walking away from you would be easy. They thought replacing you would be simple. They thought your glow depended on their presence. But the second you stepped into your power, their entire illusion shattered. Now they replay your energy like a scene they can't escape from. They're stunned at how effortlessly you rose, how naturally you reclaimed yourself. They didn't expect you to level up without announcing it. They didn't expect you to evolve without seeking validation. They didn't expect your strength to emerge from the same places they mistook as weakness. And now their heart is restless. They feel the weight of your absence like a missing rhythm in their life. Every moment you're not around reminds them that the real power was with you the entire time. Not them. But there's something even more intense happening behind the scenes. Something they won't admit out loud. They've been checking on you quietly, secretly, obsessively. They're trying to understand how you transformed so quickly, how you rebuilt your energy so beautifully, how you turned their doubts into your fuel. Their shock has deepened into a restless curiosity that refuses to calm down. They're watching your glow grow brighter, your aura expand, your spirit rise, and every part of them knows they never saw your full potential before. They realize your last move wasn't random. It was divine timing. It was alignment. It was the beginning of a version of you they can't predict, control, or manipulate. And that scares them more than anything because suddenly they're noticing the very things they once ignored. Your depth, your intuition, your resilience, your truth. They're finally understanding that losing access to someone like you isn't a small loss. It's a turning point. And that realization has left them shaken to their core. Before you go further, take a breath and stay right here because what happens next will determine everything. Your energy is attracting people who are meant for your future, not your past. You're stepping into a phase where doors open without you knocking and opportunities align without you chasing. And the ones who underestimated you, they're feeling the pressure of losing someone they never truly valued. They feel the shift, the distance, the elevation. They feel the universe pulling you upward while they're stuck replaying the moment you walked away. That's why they're shocked, not because you moved, but because you moved forward. And listen closely. Even now, a part of them wishes they could turn back time just to treat you the way you deserved from the beginning. But the truth stands unshaken. You're not returning to a chapter that your soul has already closed. Keep watching because your next transformation will leave them even more breathless than the last. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $20. My chosen light, what you don't see is the storm unfolding inside them right now. Your last move didn't just amaze them. It changed their entire understanding of who you are. They always assumed you'd stay predictable, accessible, emotionally available on their terms. But when you chose yourself over their inconsistency, something inside them broke. They never expected your strength to come in silence, in distance, in self-respect. They never imagined that you would shift your energy so gracefully that it would leave them speechless. And now the same person who once thought they could read you can't understand a single emotion you carry. They're confused by your calmness, intimidated by your confidence, and overwhelmed by the feeling that you're slipping into a version of yourself they no longer have access to. They're replaying every message, every memory, every moment. Not to reminisce, but to search for the warning signs they ignored. And the truth that scares them the most is this: your glow wasn't an accident. It was a preparation. A preparation for the life you're about to step into. A life where your power speaks louder than your pain. And now something even more unbelievable is unfolding in your favor. The universe is aligning you with people who see your worth instantly, something they failed to do over and over again. While they're still stuck analyzing your silence, others are admiring your strength. While they're struggling to understand your last move, others are preparing to appreciate your next one. You've entered a frequency they can't reach unless they grow, evolve, and rise. Something they never thought they'd have to do for you. And that's exactly why they're shocked. Because your transformation forced them to face their own stagnation. Your growth exposed their lack of effort. Your elevation revealed their limitations. And now every time they think of you, they don't just miss you. They miss the version of themselves they could have been if they had matched your energy. They feel the gap widening, the distance stretching, the reality sinking in. They know you're not waiting for them anymore. They know you're not looking back. And that realization is haunting them more deeply than anything you could ever say. Stay with me because this is the part they never wanted you to discover. The part where their shock turns into longing and their longing turns into regret. They're realizing that your last move wasn't just powerful. It was final. It was a sign that you're no longer driven by emotion, but by purpose. They feel it in ways they can't express. They feel it when they wake up thinking about the version of you they'll never experience again. They feel it when they see your glow growing without their presence. They feel it when they imagine someone else appreciating the parts of you they overlooked. You've become the mystery they can't solve, the strength they can't match, the chapter they can't rewrite. And deep inside, they know the truth they're afraid to admit. You're becoming someone they will never forget, but also someone they may never get back. My rising soul, something unbelievable is happening right now. Something they never imagined they'd feel because of you. Your last move didn't just stun them. It rewired their emotions in a way they can't hide anymore. They're feeling a pressure in their chest every time your name crosses their mind. A weight that comes from knowing they misread you, underestimated you, and pushed away a version of you that will never return. You're stepping into a different kind of power now. A power that doesn't need validation, noise, or explanation. And that's exactly what's shaking them so deeply. They can't understand how you detached so cleanly. They can't understand how you managed to rebuild yourself without looking back. They can't understand how you turned your heartbreak into an upgrade while they're still stuck in the moment you walked away. Your growth has become their mirror, and the reflection is forcing them to face every part of themselves they tried to avoid. They're realizing that you were the opportunity, not the attachment, not the distraction, not the phase. You were the chapter they should have protected. And losing you wasn't a moment. It was a turning point. And now the universe is doing something extraordinary with your energy. You're being guided into circles where your presence is valued instantly, where your loyalty is honored, where your heart is understood without explanation. This elevation happening inside you. It's not subtle anymore. It's loud. It's visible. It's magnetic. And they can feel it even from a distance. They're noticing how you're glowing differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. They're shocked that you're not chasing closure, not running after answers, not clinging to memories. They expected you to break, but instead you bloomed. They expected you to fold, but instead you rose. They expected you to shrink, but instead you expanded. And now they're caught in the aftermath of their own assumptions. They're trying to figure out if you still think about them, if you still miss them, if you still feel something, because the idea of you moving on without looking back is something their ego wasn't prepared for. You've become the story they can't close, the lesson they can't skip, the soul they can't replace. Stay right here with me for a moment, because the next revelation will reshape everything you believe about your journey. The shock they're feeling right now is slowly turning into a silent desperation. They want to reach out, but their pride won't let them. They want to explain, but they don't know where to begin. They want to come back, but they're terrified of finding out you've moved on too far for them to follow. They're watching your transformation unfold like a movie where they used to be the main character, but now they're not even in the cast. And that reality is hitting them harder each day. They never thought you'd become this powerful, this untouchable, this aligned. They never expected the version of you that stands tall without needing anyone to stand beside you. Their shock isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. Because on some level, they know the universe is lifting you into a place they were never meant to keep you from. They feel the distance not just in your silence, but in your destiny. My unshaken warrior, what they're feeling now is something they never expected life to make them face. Your last move didn't just amaze them. It exposed every hidden crack in their confidence. They used to believe you'd always remain within reach. That no matter how far things drifted, you'd bend before you'd break. But you didn't bend. You didn't crumble. You rose. And that single rise has become the echo they can't silence. They see your strength in everything you do now. The way you speak with clarity. The way you choose peace over chaos. The way you trust your path instead of their promises. It's haunting them because it reveals a truth they avoided for too long. You never needed them as much as they wanted to believe. They never expected you to step into a version of yourself that doesn't revolve around their presence. And that realization has left them in a quiet kind of panic. They're shocked by how quickly you detached, how powerfully you transformed, and how deeply you've stepped into your destiny. Their mind is racing, their heart is unsettled, and their spirit is restless. Because nothing about your energy feels accessible to them anymore. But here's what makes your journey even more extraordinary. Your elevation isn't fueled by revenge, emptiness, or bitterness. It's fueled by clarity. Something inside you awakened when you made that last move. A knowing that you deserved better, that you were meant for more, that your story was never supposed to be limited by someone else's confusion. You're starting to realize that the moment you walked away wasn't a loss. It was a release. A release from cycles that drained you. A release from expectations that diminished you. A release from connections that couldn't hold your spirit. And this internal freedom has become your glow. This glow has become your power. And this power has become the reason they're shocked beyond words. Because while they remain trapped in repetition, you've stepped into evolution. While they're replaying memories, you're rewriting your future. While they're trying to understand how they lost you, you're embracing the truth that you were never theirs to control. Every step you're taking right now is pulling you closer to the people who will meet you exactly where your soul stands, not where your wounds used to be. Come closer now because you need to hear what's unfolding next. Their shock is turning into a quiet realization. They never truly saw you. They saw your softness but not your strength. They saw your heart but not your boundaries. They saw your love but not your standards. And now, watching your transformation from afar, they're realizing how rare you truly are. They're realizing how much wisdom you carry, how much depth you hold, how much resilience you've earned. They're questioning every choice they made, every moment they took lightly, every chance they failed to honor. And though they may try to act unmoved, unaffected, unbothered, inside they're feeling the weight of losing someone who was never meant to be temporary. You've become the turning point in their story, the lesson in their journey, the presence they can't replace. But here's the truth that stands above all. You're not going back. Not to the hurt, not to the confusion, not to the waiting. Because your soul is stepping into a future where your worth is not only seen, it's celebrated. My ascending spirit, what they're feeling now is no longer just shock, it's fear wrapped in realization. They've reached a point where your last move is replaying in their mind like a scene they can't pause or skip. It follows them everywhere, in the quiet moments, in the loud ones, in the spaces where they once felt confident. They now feel uncertain because your transformation has stripped them of their old illusions. They used to believe you needed them. That your emotions revolved around their actions. That your heart waited for their approval. That your energy dimmed without their attention. But the moment you stepped into a higher level of self-worth, everything inside them collapsed. They're stunned that you're glowing without their validation. They're stunned that you're peaceful without their presence. They're stunned that you're stronger without their support. And every part of their soul is waking up to a truth they never wanted to face. They misjudged you. They misunderstood your silence. They mistook your patience for weakness. And now they're living inside the consequences of their own blindness, watching you rise into a version of yourself they can't reach anymore. But something even deeper is unfolding beneath their shock. Something that's reshaping how they see you forever. They're starting to recognize the kind of soul you truly carry. The kind that loves deeply but never begs. The kind that forgives but never forgets the lesson. The kind that stays loyal but never stays stuck. Your last move showed them a level of emotional intelligence they didn't expect. Instead of reacting, you reflected. Instead of chasing, you chose clarity. Instead of breaking, you built yourself from the inside out. And that shift is shaking them at their core. They're realizing that while they were focused on attention, you were focused on growth. While they looked for temporary comfort, you searched for long-term alignment. While they played safe with excuses, you evolved with purpose. You're not the person they met. You're not the person they assumed you'd stay. You've shed layers they didn't even know were holding you back. And now, watching your evolution from a distance, they're experiencing a silent pain, a knowing that someone else will receive the version of you they weren't mature enough to appreciate. Stay close now, because you need to understand the magnitude of what's happening next. Their shock is transforming into a silent obsession. Not because they want to control you, but because they realize they no longer can. They're watching your steps, your choices, your energy, hoping to find a trace of the old you. But that version is gone. They feel the spiritual distance between you widening, not because you're trying to hurt them, but because your soul is rising too fast for them to keep up. They feel the emotional gap growing with every decision you make, rooted in clarity instead of attachment. They feel the shift in your aura, lighter, stronger, wiser, and they know they played a part in pushing you into this elevation. They're shocked because you didn't just move on. You evolved beyond their memory of you. And that evolution, that glow, that unstoppable rise is what terrifies them the most. You're becoming someone they will spend years remembering, but someone they may never again be worthy of standing beside. My unstoppable soul, what they're feeling now is something they can't explain to anyone, not even to themselves. Your last move didn't just shock them. It woke them up. It forced them to confront a truth they spent months ignoring. You were the stability they didn't value, the peace they didn't protect, the connection they misread. They assumed you'd always be available, always be soft, always be willing to bend your boundaries to make space for their inconsistencies. But when you chose yourself, when you stepped back from the emotional loop, when you stopped giving them the access they took for granted, it hit them like a wave they never saw coming. Everything they thought they understood about you crumbled. They thought you'd be lost without them, but you became luminous. They thought you'd wait for them to grow, but you outgrew the version of yourself that needed them. They thought you'd fall apart, but you became everything they couldn't handle. And now, sitting with the consequences of their arrogance, they know deep inside they underestimated the wrong soul. But here's the part they didn't expect. The part that has them in complete disbelief. Your energy has shifted so dramatically that even from a distance, it feels unreachable. They feel like they're standing on the outside of your life looking through a window they can't open. They see the confidence in your voice, the softness in your healing, the courage in your choices. They see how the universe is opening doors for you that weren't accessible before. They see how people are drawn to your glow, how your presence feels different, how your aura has stepped into something sacred and untouchable. And it terrifies them because they finally understand something they never considered. You were never dependent on them. They were depending on the version of you that no longer exists. They're shocked at how you turned silence into power, pain into wisdom, distance into alignment. They can't wrap their mind around the fact that you didn't need revenge, anger, or attention to rise. You rose because your soul was ready. You rose because your purpose demanded it. You rose because something in you finally whispered, "It's time." Come closer because what's happening next is the biggest shift of all. Their shock is turning into a realization that they might have lost you at the exact moment you became the best version of yourself. They're imagining someone else stepping into your life. Someone who recognizes your worth immediately. Someone who won't waste your heart. Someone who won't drain your spirit. Someone who celebrates the strength they overlooked. And that thought is shaking them more than they'll ever admit. They know that someone else will meet the version of you they never got to appreciate. The healed you, the wiser you, the grounded you, the elevated you. And they also know this. They pushed away the very soul that could have transformed their life. Your last move didn't just amaze them. It revealed the gap between who they are and who they needed to become to stand beside someone like you. And now, as your path continues to rise, they're realizing the truth they can't undo. You are becoming the kind of person people fight to keep, while they became the kind of person who didn't fight at all.